My beloved child, listen within the quiet rhythm of your own breath, for this moment is not an accidental crossing between you and a stream of unconscious words. The very instant your ear leans toward these lines, a movement from eternity has slipped through the veil of time to touch your soul. There are moments in a person's life that become defining not because circumstances shift, but because the invisible curtain between heaven and earth gently trembles, and this is one of those moments. I draw near to you not with thunder shaking the skies, but with a tenderness so gentle that your heart perceives it before your mind does. It is not the wind, nor a sound, but the slight sensation that someone has placed a kind hand upon your shoulder, calling you back to what you have always longed for in the deepest part of your being, the nearness of the one who formed you. You have walked through many days that felt endless, days in which every glance you gave carried a heaviness no one around you recognized. I have seen every time you tried to smile so the world would believe you were fine, even as a silent storm churned inside your chest. I have watched the nights you closed your eyes but could not exhale fully, afraid that if you let yourself grow weak for even a moment, everything within you would collapse. I have heard the whispered prayers you dared not speak aloud to anyone, prayers that moved like hidden water through the cracks of your weary soul. Lord, please, don't let me fall again. Though others did not see, I saw all. Though others did not listen, I listened from the moment the thought first formed within you. Before you understood what was happening, I was standing in the room where you tried to swallow your sobs. Before your eyes searched for something to hold on to, I had already positioned my presence before you. You think you are simply reading a passage, but in truth you are stepping into an encounter that has been ordained long before this moment, a meeting where I, the Creator of heaven and earth, bend low to speak directly to your spirit. And know this: nothing in your recent days has been overlooked or dismissed. No pain has been buried. No tear has fallen without my remembrance. I have watched you struggle under burdens heavier than anyone knew. I have watched you walk through darkness not to prove your strength, but because you felt you had no other choice. You have wondered whether anyone sees you, whether anyone notices the trembling of your hands, whether anyone realizes how many times you have forced yourself to be strong just to keep your heart from shattering. And my answer to you is this: I have seen. I have stood beside you. I have lifted you in moments when you no longer had the strength to stand on your own. When you believed you were lost, you were actually being led to the exact place I wanted you to stand in this very hour. Not because you are strong, not because you are capable, but because I wanted you to know that I, not your effort, am the reason you did not collapse. Every moment that felt like a dead end was a moment in which I quietly carved out a passageway. Every time you thought you were abandoned was the moment I wrapped you in a peace you could not name. Like Abraham, who trusted the promise while standing beneath a silent night sky. Like Hagar, whose tears in the desert led her to a heaven-sent well. Like Elijah, who believed himself alone but discovered I had never left him. You too are stepping into a moment in which my love reveals itself to you more deeply than ever before. You are reading these words because heaven has aligned the timing to touch your heart. This is the moment I open your eyes to see that you have never truly been alone. I am the one who carried you through the heavy days. And I am also the one who will lead you into the season of restoration, elevation, and rightful placement in the destiny I prepared for you. Breathe deeply, my child. This moment is holy. I am here, my child. As your heart hovers between fear and relief, I want you to look at your life through eyes no longer clouded by exhaustion. You think your past days were made only of loss, but I see marks of resilience no one but I has ever recognized. In the quiet sighs you believed were unnoticed, I heard the echo of a soul fighting desperately not to lose the last flicker of light within. You call those moments weakness, I call them honesty. You call them depletion, I call them the opening where I can touch the deepest places you once tried to hide. You have lived through mornings that felt like steep hills with no summit in sight, and nights that swallowed you in suffocating silence. You tried to keep everything looking normal, but inside you stretched a long corridor of shadow where sorrow stacked upon sorrow like layers of unmelting frost. I have seen you kneel in those brief moments when no one was watching, asking for just enough strength to breathe through one more day. I have seen your hands tremble when the memory of someone you lost flickered through your mind, a face you can no longer touch, a smile you can no longer hear, a conversation left unfinished forever. Your heart carries the imprint of a love that has not disappeared, it has only changed form. That ache once made you feel as though a part of you had been pulled into the invisible realm. But hear me, no love formed in sincerity ever dissolves into nothingness. The one you miss has not perished. They have been placed in a radiance so complete that earthly sorrow can never again reach them. You close your eyes and feel the sting of longing, but I behold them with joy, for their soul is healed, whole, and free from all the burdens you once saw upon their shoulders. The tears you shed for them do not fall meaninglessly. They rise as unspoken prayers heaven receives. If you knew how every moment of your remembering, even the briefest flicker of thought, stirs the realm of glory, you would never again imagine yourself alone. Love does not freeze in the past. It transforms into a quiet companionship the earthly senses cannot measure, where their soul stands near me and whispers your name in ways you cannot hear with your ears, but can feel in those sudden warm moments when you least expect comfort. You once wondered, do they know how much I still miss them? And I answer you, they do. Not through your spoken words, but through the rhythm of your heart, a rhythm I sustain. Each night you drift into sleep wrapped in longing. I have allowed them to stand in my light, and from that place they witness the work I am doing within you. They do not judge your moments of weakness, they understand them. For they too once walked the fragile path of human sorrow. They do not want your grief to bind you. They want it to become a doorway through which you recognize that love extends beyond the boundaries of death. Do not think that the season you are walking through is made only of fragments. I see something you cannot yet see beneath the ruins. A new life is forming like a seed quietly opening in the dark soil, unseen yet undeniably alive. You believe you have been pushed backward, but in truth I am positioning you in a place where no one will ever be able to shake your foundation again. You think your recent tears were merely emotional release, but they have been underground streams watering the parts of your soul that had grown dry. I want you to understand this pain does not come to break you. It comes to transform you. Nothing you have gone through has been wasted. Every wound you survive is not a crack but an opening through which light can pass, illuminating the deeper layers you once feared to face. And from those very depths, I will raise you with a new kind of strength, not because you no longer hurt, but because you have learned to see my hand even in the hurt. Relax your shoulders. My child, I am interpreting what you cannot understand. I am weaving the tangled threads of your past into a tapestry far more intricate than you could imagine. You are not losing direction. You are being led through a land of transition. And here, in this sacred crossing, I am unlocking doors that have remained shut for far too long. In the stillness, I am still at work. My beloved child, as you sit in the threshold between what was and what is, I want you to pause for a moment, as though your entire life has been placed in a quiet stillness, so that you may finally recognize what you have overlooked for so long. You have never walked alone. There were moments when you felt everything collapsing around you, But if you could see through the eyes of your spirit, you would notice something your natural eyes could not. I have been there beside you from the very first trembling step you took into hardship. Not from afar, not watching coldly, but so near that even the faintest cry within you was enough for me to draw close. You believed my silence was my absence. But silence is simply the language of works being formed in the depths of destiny. When I am silent, it does not mean I am distant. When I have not answered, it does not mean I have forgotten. When you cannot feel me, it does not mean I have ceased to move. Just as a seed lies quiet in the soil without a sound, yet swells with hidden growth, so my promise for you has been quietly expanding, even in days that seemed unchanged. You see stillness on the surface, but I see life stirring at the core. There were many moments when you looked at your life and felt delayed, left behind, as if others moved ahead while you alone stood still. But hear me, you were not still. You were being placed into a process that cannot be rushed. Some things I build cannot be completed in haste, because they concern your future, and not only yours, but the future of those connected to you, the generations that will follow. What I am preparing for you is not a small adjustment. It is a reconstruction from the foundation. If I moved quickly simply to satisfy your anxiety, the new structure could not withstand the storms. But if I lay each stone slowly, firmly, then even the fiercest winds will not undo what I establish in you. I have seen the days you endured that no one else could understand. I have seen the afternoons when words rose to your lips but fell silent because you knew no one could truly hear you. I have heard the questions you whispered into the dark. What am I living for when everything feels shattered? And in those nearly hopeless moments, I placed a small spark inside you, so small you didn't recognize it, but bright enough to keep you from collapsing. That spark is now rising, shifting, carving a path into the new season I have been preparing for you from the days when you believed yourself lost. I do not take you back to painful memories to make you sorrowful again. I lead you to look back so you can see what I preserved. You thought you fell into a pit, but you were actually passing through a narrow passage that leads into a spacious place you have never imagined. No journey into the light bypasses the valley of shadow. No soul is strengthened without walking through detours that seem meaningless. You have walked through your night, and because of that, you are ready for what those untouched by darkness cannot comprehend. Do not think you have failed because you trembled. Your trembling has made you sensitive to what I want to reveal. Do not think you are weak because you cried. Your tears do not diminish your value. They soften the ground of your heart. And soft ground is where miracles take root. Do not think you are behind. Your slow pace is the rhythm I chose so that the shaping of your soul would not be damaged by haste. So stand tall within yourself. You do not need to force composure or pretend to be unshaken. I do not ask for perfection. I ask for honesty, the honesty of a heart willing to open so I may enter. You have opened enough for me to step in now, open wider, that I may prepare you for what is coming. This moment is the border between the days behind you and the new chapter I am unveiling. You are not reading these words for temporary comfort. You are reading because heaven has touched the appointed hour of your life. This is a threshold I will not allow you to cross with trembling steps, but with the steadiness of one who has been formed by both darkness and light. Prepare yourself. I am leading you into the next portion where my love, my comfort, and my purpose for you will be revealed layer by layer. What you believed buried, I will bring to life in ways you never imagined. My beloved, your life is not woven only from the events of the visible world. It is shaped by currents unseen by earthly eyes. You think you live in a space where only you and I exist. But there are also souls who have gone before you, those your heart cherished, leaned upon, loved with sincerity. The distance between heaven and earth is not enough to break a genuine love, and their departure did not sever the sacred connection. In the realm of light, where they now stand, the pains they once carried no longer cling to them. The burdens you once noticed in their eyes have dissolved like morning mist. They carry no regrets, no lingering questions that still trouble you. They stand not as far away as you imagine in my radiance, healed, whole, and filled with a love without fracture. You think they vanished from your world, but I tell you this, they only changed their place from beside you to above you, from physical nearness to spiritual closeness. I want you to understand this with absolute clarity. The one you love is not imprisoned in silence. They are not lost in forgetfulness. They have been placed into a sacred community where love is not severed by time nor divided by death. And from that radiant realm, they look upon you not with earthly eyes, but with eyes washed clean of all worry, fear, and burden. They see not only your present pain, but also the path I am drawing across the landscape of your life. Have you ever wondered why, on some gray and weary days, your heart suddenly feels as if something gentle has brushed against it? Why a warmth rises quietly through your chest, urging you to breathe a little deeper, stand a little steadier, and find a little strength you did not know you had? That is not an illusion. It is the meeting point between the visible and the invisible, a place where your soul is held by a love that never ends, offered by the one who now rests in the light. Every time you remember them with a grief that tightens your chest, heaven receives that ache as a call. And I, the one who understands you more deeply than anyone ever could, allow comfort from their side to drift toward you like a breath. There are truths I cannot explain to your mind, but will teach to your heart. When your thoughts spiral into confusion and suddenly a wave of calm covers you, when you collapse beneath loneliness and feel a soft lift as though a hand has been placed upon your back, helping you rise. These are answers from the realm of light, not bypassing my authority, but permitted by me, so you may understand that the love you once poured out has not disappeared. It continues to flow like an unseen stream, strengthening every step you take. The one you love, the one who once held your trembling hands, who laughed with you, who carried the tenderest pieces of your heart, is watching what I am preparing in your life. They cannot return in bodily form, yet they stand before me speaking without words. Lift them up, steady their feet, heal what I could not heal, open what I never had time to open for them. They have offered me the very things they never dared to say aloud on earth, or never had time to express fully. Now, in the brightness of my presence, free from fear and limitation, their heart pours itself wholly into prayer, and those prayers, joined with the unspoken cries of your soul, are opening the sky over your future. Do not be afraid when you feel yourself urged to step forward. Even when you cannot see the next step, they stand among the great cloud of witnesses, cheering you on with a peace only heaven can give. Your sorrow is not an ending, it is the starting point of a new season. A season in which I will take what you have lost and use it to build what you have never dared to dream. Let this truth settle deeply within you. Love does not dissolve. It only changes form. And that very love is clearing the way for the next chapter, one I have appointed, and one your loved one eagerly awaits for you to embrace fully. My child, as I lead you deeper into realms the natural eye cannot measure, I want you to see life through a lens you once thought you were not allowed to touch. The world taught you that only the visible can be trusted, that those who have left this earth now exist only in old photographs, recorded voices, and belongings time has not yet erased. But I tell you, what is visible is only the surface of a reality far greater than you know. Love, prayer, and the final breath of a life departing the world, these weave a sacred atmosphere around you, and you live within that atmosphere without even realizing it. There are days when your heart suddenly knots without explanation, mornings when you wake with a mixture of loss and an inexplicable peace. These moments are not random. They are responses of your spirit to unseen movements, moments when those who have gone before you recognize that you are nearing a threshold, and they send gentle winds of comfort so you do not fall into despair. If you listen closely, you will discover something astonishing. Grief does not only wound you, it also strengthens you, deepens you, and steadies you. The one who has departed does not perceive you the way you perceive them. They sense you in ways only heaven understands. When you sigh from an ache too heavy to express, their soul is not saddened as you imagine. They look upon you with the patience of one who knows, I am shaping you through a purpose far greater than the sting of your present sorrow. They know you are being molded for something beyond your comprehension. And so they pray not for me to remove every hurt, but for me to turn your very fractures into light. I have placed within you a depth few possess. You love with such sincerity that even your sorrow becomes intercession. You remember with such devotion that your memory becomes a bridge between realms. You do not realize that every time you ache for a hand you cannot hold, or a voice you cannot hear again, heaven opens a little to send warmth toward you, a touch from a realm your body cannot reach. I do not allow you to face longing alone. I do not let sadness become a stone crushing your spirit. I turn your longing into a soft cord that draws you toward my breath. I turn your sorrow into a window into the sacred, where you learn that every ending is only a transformation of love. When you ache for them, I do not stand at a distance. I hold your heart with a gentleness woven from my compassion. What you see as a crack is the very place my light enters. It is the space where my comfort flows deepest. The unseen presence of your loved one does not come to anchor you in the past. It comes to remind you that you are still alive, that your journey is not over, and that there are things they could not finish on earth. So I have chosen you to carry the next part, not to replace them, not to bear their burden, but to continue a current of love and resilience that I planted in your family long ago. You carry within you what they longed for, dreamed of, but never had time to reach, and I will not let those dreams die. You once believed, without them, I have no anchor, but I tell you, because of them, I am making you stand firm. They are not a shadow for you to cling to. They are the light behind your back, gently urging you forward whenever your own steps grow uncertain. They do not demand that you be strong at all times. They only long for you not to abandon yourself to despair. You thought their presence had faded into memory alone, but I say to you, their soul still stands in the light, where every dream they once held for you continues to take root and grow. Do not fear when the past brushes softly against your present. Do not feel ashamed because you still remember. Memory is not weakness. Memory is proof that your heart still knows how to love. And that very love, the kind of love that transcends the borders of life and death, is the force that is helping you walk into a new season I have prepared for you long ago. In my heart, no love is ever forgotten, and the love you hold for that person is a testimony that your soul has walked through sorrow but did not harden. You remain soft, capable of trembling, capable of turning toward the light. That is the sign that you are ready for what I will reveal next. Now, I desire to reconnect the invisible threads between your heart, the one who has departed, and my own presence, the one who witnessed every detail no other eyes could see. You have often viewed love as a story abruptly ended on the day of farewell. You look at old photographs, at objects holding their familiar scent, and your heart falls into that hollow ache as if everything has been sealed inside a time frame that can never open again. But my child, I do not see love as a book with a final page. To me, love is a river that never stops flowing. It only changes its course. When the last breath left the body of the one you love, their love did not scatter into meaningless emptiness. I received it like a potter lifting an unfinished vessel, shaping it one last time with tender care. Everything they never managed to say, every apology they carried silently, every plan they had for you but never had enough time to fulfill all of it, was gathered into my presence. I know what they wished for, you a life with less fear, shoulders that did not have to carry so much alone, a heart that no longer had to grit itself against loneliness. They brought those incomplete longings before me, and I, the one who never misses a single whisper, listened. And now I am doing something subtle yet immense. I am turning their dreams into invitations for you. Not burdens, not pressure. Invitations. Live the things they believed were possible, but never lived long enough to witness. You are not meant to replace them, nor to become them, but to continue the straight line of love they began before handing the pen to you. I place that pen in your hand not with a shout of demand, but with a whisper of trust. The rest, I will write with you. I know there are moments when you feel unqualified for any great task. You feel tired, patched together, scraped by life, barely steady enough to care for yourself. How could you possibly continue something for someone else? I do not fault you for these thoughts. They come from years of carrying weight alone. But hear this, I have never chosen perfect people to entrust with precious things. I choose those who have walked through tears and yet refuse to let their hearts turn to stone. I choose those who have been wounded but still desire to love. Do you not see? You are one of them. The one you loved did not leave this world with bitterness toward you. They do not stand before me recounting your failures or pointing out your shortcomings. They stand there healed, seeing the journey clearly, understanding you as one who simply tried to navigate a world too heavy at times. They do not ask me to judge you. They ask me to forgive you. They do not ask for repayment. They ask me to restore you. Their love did not shrink when they entered eternity. It expanded. It was purified from every fear, every misunderstanding, every unmet expectation. They now love you with a love fully matured in light, unchaining, undemanding, no longer binding you to the past. And that refined love is opening new territory in your life, a place where you are allowed to cry without shame, to remember without being dragged backward, to admit your deep wounds while believing those wounds will not become the final chapter. I do not ask you to forget them in order to move forward. I ask you to carry that love like a quiet fragrance, unshowy but present, softening the parts of your soul that might otherwise grow hardened by sorrow. It is time for you to see yourself differently. You are not merely the one left behind in a tragic story. In my eyes, you are the one entrusted, trusted to carry an invisible inheritance into the future. Not an inheritance of grief, nor of suffocating memories, but one of endurance shaped by sorrow, of kindness preserved through injustice, of compassion born from valleys you have walked. I will use what you once thought your weakness as the very oil of healing for others. The years you asked, "Why must I suffer so much?" will one day be answered when you look back and see every wound became the place where my hand poured restoration for many. The one you miss, now seeing through the lens of heaven, no longer desires you to shrink in a room full of memories. They long to see you step out again, dare to smile again, dare to dream again. Dare to believe that life still holds unwritten pages. They know I am preparing things for you that even they could not have imagined in their earthly days. They have completed their part, now they wait, joyfully and patiently, to see yours. Not with pressure, but with delight they get to witness me. Turn the ashes you carried into a garden where many will find refuge. So do not call yourself the one left behind. See yourself as the one kept for a greater purpose. Do not say your life is merely the leftover portion after loss. Believe that it is precisely beyond the loss that I am writing the crucial part of your story. Do not think they departed without seeing. They see more than you know. Do not fear that sadness will trap you forever. I am loosening each knot gently until the day when thinking of them will no longer tighten your chest, but make your heart glow with the knowledge that love did not die. It was perfected in my hands. And at the intersection of your longing, their intercession, and my presence, something new has already begun to stir. You cannot see its shape yet, but it is moving. From here forward, I will not only comfort you, I will lead you into what they too hope to witness, a life no longer chained to fear or scarcity, but anchored in peace, purpose, and blessing. You are stepping into a new chapter, one where tears still exist, but no longer speak the language of despair. They shine instead with the light of a soul growing in my love. This is the moment when I shift your direction, not only wiping your tears, but changing the entire flow of your life. Every sorrow, every loss, every sleepless night, every unanswered question has been woven into the foundation upon which I now begin to build something new. Not a small adjustment, but a reshaping of how you see yourself, how you see the future, and how you see the source of your provision. My beloved child, for so long you have grown used to seeing your life as a chain of constant trying to be enough. Enough money to make it through the month, enough strength to get back up, enough composure not to collapse in front of others. You have carried on your shoulders the feeling that you must keep pushing, keep managing, keep figuring everything out, as if the weight of your family, your future, and even the unhealed parts of your past all rested on one pair of small shoulders. I do not condemn you for having lived this way. The world, your circumstances, and your old wounds have taught you that if you do not save yourself, no one will. But today I speak this over you. It is time for me to strip away that illusion and bring you back to your true position, not as the one who must face everything alone, but as the child who is allowed to lean, to be led, and to be provided for in the Father's house. You have heard many times that I take care of you, but for most of your days it has remained just an idea. You still have to work. You still have to pay debts. You still face cold numbers on a screen. I do not deny that reality. I am not inviting you into a vague world where responsibility disappears and effort no longer matters. I am not promising to make you someone who simply sits and waits for gold and silver to fall from the sky. What I am doing is something deeper. I am changing the very root of how you understand the source of your provision. I want you to see that jobs, opportunities, relationships, talents, they are all channels, but there is only one source. When you place your trust in the channels, you will always live in fear, because channels can shift, disappear, and dry up. When you place your trust in the source, you begin to walk in a peace that circumstances cannot touch. I have seen the times you held your breath, opening your banking app, the times you tried to stretch every small amount, the evenings you sat calculating and recalculating just to make things barely enough while still hiding from others how tight things really were. I have seen how you even felt ashamed of being tired because of money, as if merely admitting it would somehow be less spiritual. But I am the one who made both the spiritual and the material realm. I see your bills as clearly as I see your tears. I know your expenses as intimately as I know your whispered prayers. I do not belittle either. To me, your life is one whole, your heart, your body, your family, your finances, your future. I do not touch one part and neglect the rest. There were nights you asked me, why do I pray so much and still see no door open? Why do I trust you and yet remain in struggle? I do not rebuke you for these questions. They rise from a heart that has borne too much. But I want you to look again during all the time you thought nothing was shifting. How much has your heart already changed? You have learned to cling to me instead of clinging to people. You have learned to release relationships that only deepened your wounds. You have stopped trying to find your worth in the eyes of those who never truly understood you. It was precisely in that territory of lack that a deeper layer of your soul was maturing. Now I can place in your hands things which, if I had given earlier, would have crushed you, because back then you did not yet know who you were in my eyes. You need to hear this. You are no longer defined by financial failures, by a history of scarcity, by seasons of depending on others, or by the years you were forced to choose between surviving and dreaming. You are not merely a survivor. In my eyes, you are one who is called to transform that story. What you have been through is not simply so you can breathe easier once the debt is paid, but so that one day you can stand among those who struggle as you once did and say, I have seen what I believed was impossible become real, not because I am capable, but because I was led by a God who never abandoned me. My beloved child, this is the moment I begin to lead you out of the mindset of just enough and into the territory of enough to live, enough to share, enough to build, enough to walk with dignity without pride. My goal is not to turn you into someone who boasts. I do nothing merely to impress. I bless in order to reveal myself. I want to use your life as a mirror reflecting the kindness of the Father toward those who once believed they were forgotten. I want those who witnessed your struggle to one day have to admit, there must have been another hand at work there. And I want you, on an ordinary afternoon someday, with a heart finally light, to suddenly realize I no longer live under the old fear. I am no longer haunted by what if it all collapses again. I am living in what I once only dared to ask for through tears. In that moment, you will know that all the quiet days were not wasted. You will understand why I did not rush to answer in the way you expected. Because there are blessings that cannot be laid on an unstable foundation. They require a new ground, a ground I have been patiently building in your heart through both comfort and testing. Allow yourself to step into this new chapter. Do not cling to the identity of the one who always lacks, the one who is always behind, the one who is never chosen. I have not written these labels across your forehead. I call you by different names, beloved. Kept, prepared, entrusted. The old season taught you how to survive. The new season I am opening will teach you how to live in the posture of a child who belongs in the Father's house, not arrogant, but not self-shrinking, not showy, but no longer withdrawing because of a sense of unworthiness. From here, I will speak to you about the doors I am opening, about the new streams I am releasing, about how I will turn the years you thought were stolen into the very capital for a season of harvest. But first, you must receive this truth. You are no longer bound to live by the old story. You can let me write a different chapter. And that chapter, my child, does not begin with the balance in your account. It begins with a quiet whisper in your heart, Father, I still believe you have good things for me. That alone is enough for me to do the rest. My beloved, for so long, every time you touched the topics of spending, borrowing, planning for the future, your heart tightened as if pressing against an unhealed wound. You linked money to stress, to shame, to the feeling of not enough, until just hearing the word finances made your whole being tense up. I have seen the sighs you released while holding a bill in your hand, the moments you had to choose between helping someone and keeping a little for yourself, the times you wanted to be generous but were afraid of waking up tomorrow with empty hands. I do not blame you for those inner battles. They are the fruit of years of scarcity, of experiences of being rejected, judged, compared simply because you did not have as much as others. But today I say this: it is time for me to heal not only your wallet, but the deepest layer of your relationship with money. Money itself is neither pure nor impure. It only amplifies the heart that holds it. In the hands of the selfish, it feeds selfishness. In the hands of the greedy, it swells greed. But in a heart I have touched, it becomes a tool to lift, to soothe, to build. The problem is that for so long you have been taught that money is something you must either fear or worship. In seasons of lack, you feared it. Under pressure, you nearly enthroned it as the measure of your worth. You let numbers decide whether you are worthy, successful, significant. My child, that has exhausted you, because you unknowingly handed to numbers an authority that belongs only to me. I want to reclaim that place in your heart, not to strip you of all material means, but so that you are no longer ruled by them. When I return to my rightful place as Lord, money becomes merely a servant. Then you are not dragged by the fear of lack, nor swept away by the seduction of surplus. My child, remember the stories you heard since you were small. I fed my people in the wilderness with bread from heaven. I kept the jar of oil from running dry when the widow dared to obey what I spoke. I made a handful of loaves sufficient for a multitude. These stories were never told merely for beauty. They reveal a principle woven through all generations. I am the one who can take something very small and bring forth something very great when a heart is willing to trust. You have asked me many times to intervene in your lack, and I have preserved you from collapse. But now I desire to take you further. I want to teach you to step into a place where you do not merely survive, but where you learn to steward. In the past, you prayed just to make it through. Now I want to teach you to pray as one who tends the storehouse of the Father's house, knowing that what you receive is never meant for you alone. I know you have seen money misused, seen empty promises and schemes that lure people with dreams of quick transformation, only to leave them wounded and disillusioned. Because you witnessed these things and were yourself hurt by them, there formed deep within you a quiet suspicion. If I hope for something good, will I be deceived again? I do not rebuke you for this caution. It rises from a heart trying to protect itself. But I want you to distinguish: I am not a seller of illusions. I am a father. I do not beckon you with bait for greed. I invite you with the language of trust and wisdom. I do not promise to make you reckless. I promise to make you faithful. I do not advertise a 7-second miracle. I walk with you through seasons, through decisions, through new habits, patiently and intentionally. You have not realized it yet, but even in seasons of scarcity, I have been teaching you priceless lessons: how to value small things, how to share even when you have little, how to empathize with another's desperation rather than judge it. These are the treasures of heaven. When I begin to open new doors for you, these very qualities will keep you from losing your way. Where others may be drawn into comparison or display, you will choose quietness, gratitude, and the kind of generosity that bandages the souls I bring near you, where others may be eager to prove that they have. You will use what you have to lift others up in secret. In this way, money will no longer be a master with a commanding voice, but a silent servant to the love I have placed within you. I also want to heal the lingering shame that rises in you whenever you fall short of someone else's expectations. There were times you were compared, belittled, dismissed simply because you could not meet the standard they imposed. Those words pierced deeply, and over time they planted in you a belief: only when I have more will I be worthy of respect. My child, in my eyes, your worth has never been tied to a wallet. You are valuable because you bear my image, because I chose you, because I carried you through valleys no one else even knew you walked. If I deemed you precious when all you had were sobs and exhaustion, then neither future abundance will make me love you more, nor present lack make me love you less. When this truth settles into you, the invisible chain around your heart will begin to fall away. You will learn to use money without letting money use you, to receive blessings without losing your simplicity, to manage more while keeping the tenderness you had when you possessed almost nothing. My child, I am calling you into a new way of living instead of asking, "How do I carry this alone?" You will begin to ask, "Father, how do I walk with you in this?" Instead of allowing fear to dictate your decisions, you will learn to let my peace be the umpire. Instead of relying on what appears before your eyes, you will learn to recognize the doors I open by the gentle stirrings within. I will teach you to distinguish between opportunity and trap, between an attractive offer and a chain covered in sweetness. I will teach you to say no with courage, even when it feels like missing a chance, so your soul remains free while you wait for the door that is truly from me. And when that season comes, you will look back and understand why I moved slowly with you. I never wish to add new burdens to your life and call them blessings. What I give in a way that brings lightness, endurance, and new breath into your family, your mind, and your body. You will no longer live with the anxious refrain, "What if tomorrow I lack again?" but will learn to say with steady confidence, "Tomorrow is also in my Father's hands." From that posture, you will make decisions calmly, love generously, work faithfully, and rest fully. Let me remove your old thinking as one removes layers of bandages stuck to a wound. It may sting at first, but slowly the new skin will appear. You will find yourself no longer shrinking at the mention of finances. You will be able to speak about it, pray about it, steward it without shame or panic. And then you will understand true breakthrough never begins in the purse, but in the heart, where you stop viewing yourself through the lens of lack and begin seeing yourself through the gaze of your Father, the one who called you mine long before anything ever sat in your hands. From here, I will take you another step from the renewal of your mind to concrete expressions in your life, doors opening, weights lifting, old patterns breaking. But first, let this word rest upon your heart like rain on dry ground. I am still here, patient with every slow step, never rushing you, never scorning you, only inviting you gently to trust a little more in my goodness. And now, my child, I want to lead you into yet another step out of the identity of one who fights merely to survive and into the identity of one entrusted with blessing. This is not a pretty slogan. It is a real shift in how heaven sees you and how you will learn to see yourself. You have lived so long in a posture of preventing collapse that every peaceful day has felt like a form of victory. I honor your endurance. But I do not desire the rest of your life to be nothing more than thank God I made it through. I did not create you to trail behind your needs. I created you to know what it means to walk in purposeful abundance. Look at what I have done within your soul. So far I touched the place connected to the one you loved and showed you that love does not vanish. I gathered your tears and turned them into seeds that softened your heart. I began dismantling distorted ideas about your worth and about money. I told you that I alone am the source and that all other channels are merely pathways. None of this was to help you feel better, but to prepare you for a new role, not only as one who receives, but as one who pours out. You once lived on the side of life where you needed help, comfort, and support. Now I am quietly moving you toward the side of one who can extend a hand to others, not from prideful abundance, but from deep understanding of pain, of lack, of feeling overlooked. I have not allowed any of your experiences to be filed under useless. The years of financial strain taught you to honor small beginnings and never despise them. Relationships strained because of money taught you to discern who loves you for you and who only for benefit. The nights you lost sleep for the sake of those you cared for taught you the compassion of a heart that knows how to carry others. All these things, woven together with the healing I am performing in you, create a rare substance. You become someone who can touch the wounds of others without judgment, who can speak of my provision without selling false hope, who can lift others without demanding their gratitude. This is where I am taking you. You once asked, when will I stop worrying over every dollar? When will I stop calculating every small expense? I am not angry with this question. It rises from fatigue. But I answer you differently. I am leading you to a place where those questions no longer rule your heart, even if your circumstances do not change instantly. At first, you may still need to plan carefully, still think responsibly, but the center inside you will have shifted from, what if I don't have enough, to, Father, what are you teaching me through what I have? From I am afraid of lack to I trust there will be a way, even if I cannot yet see it. When the posture of your heart changes, your choices change, and when your choices change, the road before you becomes different. The one you love, who has gone before you, also does not desire to see you living forever in the posture of someone who only knows how to shrink back for fear of lacking, fear of making mistakes, fear of losing. They have asked me to let you stand upright in peace, not to walk through life trembling. They have spoken of you before me, not as a pitiful soul, but as someone they believe I will use to bring blessing to many others. While they were still on earth, perhaps they said to you, keep going. One day you'll be different. I hope your life will be easier than mine. I want you not to struggle the way I did. Or perhaps they never managed to say it out loud and only carried it quietly in their heart. Now, in the realm of light, those desires have not vanished. They have blended into my intentions for you. I do not fulfill them only because they asked, but I gladly bring them to completion because they are in harmony with my own heart. I want you to begin to see your life not only through the lens of a victim of circumstances, but as someone being trained for a mission. Victims usually ask, why me? Those who are being trained gradually learn to ask, what will I do with what I have been through? I am not demanding that you immediately leap from the first question to the second declaration. I am only asking that you start allowing me to change the way you view the events of your life. Each time you are about to say, my life is nothing but a string of have-nots, pause for a moment and ask me, in all of those have-nots, what have you kept for me? You will be surprised to discover you still have kindness. You still have the capacity to feel. You still have softness of heart. You still have the desire not to let pain ruin who you are. These things are more valuable than gold and silver. and they will be the very foundation upon which I place tangible blessings into your life. I know you are still hesitant whenever you hear words like to be used or to be called, because you feel you are not steady enough, not holy enough, not fitting any mold. But I remind you, I do not require perfection before you step into a new season. I invite you to step first. And in the very act of walking, I continue to shape you. You have thought, when I finish paying my debts, when life is stable, when I am doing better, then I will start thinking about helping someone else. But I often work the other way around. I begin giving you opportunities to touch the pain of others right while your own life still feels unfinished. Not so that you will strain yourself, but so you may realize that love does not wait until you are perfect to start flowing. It begins with small steps, with sincere comfort, with sharing from what you honestly have, with a hand gently placed on someone's shoulder and the words, "I understand, because I have been there too." It is precisely as you dare to give out those small things that you will witness me gradually opening doors you once believed were sealed shut, not because you have bought me off with your deeds, but because in the act of giving, you are stepping out of the cage of constantly staring at your own lack. You begin to look beyond yourself, and in that space I can entrust you with more, because you have learned one simple yet profound truth. Resources are never the goal. They are merely the means by which love becomes visible to the eyes. Believe that I can use your very story with all its cracks, all its sad chapters, all its torn pages, to become a testimony of a God who never abandons those who cling to Him, even when their knees are shaking. Others may only see the outcome and be impressed later on, but you and I will know the entire prelude soaked in tears. That makes the glory revealed through your life all the more evident. When you step into a place of sufficiency, you will not forget where you came from, and it is that memory that will keep you tender, humble, and ever aware. If it had not been for the hand of the Father, I would not be standing here today. Now let my word today anchor itself in your heart as a new mooring. You are not merely a survivor. You are a bearer of blessing. You are not only one who has passed through storms, you are one who will lead others to shelter. You are not only someone who once lacked, you are someone who, one day, will help ease the lack of others, not because you are extraordinarily wealthy, but because you know, deeply, what it means to be provided for by the Father. From this moment on, whenever you look at your circumstances, I want you to practice asking, "Father, in this situation, who am I being invited to become instead of only, what more will I lose? I am here, with you, in this turning point. I do not rush you. I do not drag you. But I also will not let you slip back into the old cycles. A new chapter has been opened, and I, the one who led you through the darkness, will also lead you on in the light. You need only take small steps in trust. I will take care of the rest. My beloved child, a season of open doors stands before you. This is not merely a change in a few details of your life. It is a structural shift where the way you think, choose, and respond to circumstances will be set upon a new foundation. I did not lead you through dry and barren days just so you could say, "At last, it's over." I brought you through so that you could stand in a new place without being strangled by the old fears. Many times you have asked yourself, "Where is my future headed? Am I wasting my time? How is it that after all these years, I still don't see anything great?" I have heard those questions, not as accusations, but as the sighs of a heart still yearning for meaning. I do not rebuke you for asking them. In fact, as long as you still want to know why and where to, it is a sign that your soul has not grown cold. I have waited until your heart, after all its losses, was still soft enough to listen. And now, when that softness has become genuine, I say to you, you are not drifting aimlessly. You are being led, even in the many moments when you do not yet recognize it. For a long time I have placed within you certain leanings, certain unique resonances, things that make your eyes brighten even when your body is tired, things you can sit with for hours without feeling it is a waste, things that warm your heart each time you get to serve someone from the deepest part of yourself. You have called these personality, preferences, inclinations. I call them the seeds of purpose. In every trial, those seeds have never died. They were simply covered over by the dust of worry, of lack, of sorrow. Today, I am gently blowing that dust away so you may see again what I planted in you from the beginning. This new season does not begin with some noisy event that makes everyone take notice. It begins with a gradual clarity inside of you. You will find yourself less pulled into comparison with others, less driven to prove yourself, less haunted by the need to be like someone else. Instead, you will begin to look at the unique combination of your experiences, your temperament, your slowly healing wounds, and the small gifts I have given you, and you will recognize I have fashioned you to touch kinds of people not everyone can reach. The very stories you once wanted to erase are the bridges between you and those wandering in the same shadows where you once walked. I am not asking you to immediately abandon everything to do something spectacular. I begin by reshaping the way you show up right where you are. The seemingly ordinary conversations, the small acts you do out of compassion, the times you remain quietly present and listen instead of rushing to judge, these are all becoming channels through which I flow. Others may not notice, but I see every time you swallow your own tears in order to stay gentle with the one in front of you. I look at that and say, this is the very place where I will increase. The door I am opening for you is not merely an external opportunity. It is first an inner passage, an invitation for you to stop seeing yourself as someone who is always behind, always not qualified enough. You must understand this. I do not wait for you to reach earthly standards before I use you. It is precisely within your vulnerability that my strength is revealed most clearly. When you accept that you cannot orchestrate everything by your own ability, that is not failure. It is the beginning of cooperation between you and me. You offer the small, limited, trembling part of yourself, and I pour in the wide, steady, enduring part of myself. I have watched the way you used to fear the future, as though it were a fog-covered wall advancing toward you. Now I want you to learn to look at the future as a path I have already walked ahead of you, clearing away stones you never even knew were there. You do not need to see the entire map. You only need to follow me one small step at a time. Sometimes that step is nothing more than a gentle prompting to call someone, to finish something you have delayed for too long, to try entering a field you once believed was not for you, or simply to allow yourself a true day of rest so you can hear your own heart and my whisper. Do not dismiss these little things. Many times, I open major turns in your life through seemingly insignificant steps. Perhaps you once believed that purpose meant something grand, fame, status, dazzling achievements in the eyes of others. And so, when you looked at your journey, you felt disappointed, thinking you had not accomplished anything meaningful. But in my eyes, a life lived sincerely, lovingly, and faithfully in the seemingly ordinary things carries eternal weight. I remember every moment you forgave when you had good reason to resent. Every moment you chose gentleness when you were exhausted from trying to understand. Every moment you shared what little you had with someone who had even less. These things do not appear on headlines or noisy public platforms, but they are etched into eternity, and it is this quiet faithfulness that allows me to entrust you with more. In this season of open doors, I will gradually bring into your life people, places, and opportunities that reflect what I have planted within you. You will begin to notice that you fit in certain spaces, environments where your tenderness is valued, where your history of pain becomes a gift, where your ability to understand without many words becomes a refuge for others. Do not be surprised when you find yourself drawing near hearts that seem too complicated to others. It is precisely because you have walked through complexity that you can sit with them unafraid, unhurried, without labeling. I will use that, my child. I have not forgotten the practical needs still in front of you: work, housing, payments, relationships that need realignment. A season of open doors does not mean everything becomes perfect overnight. It means that from now on, the doors you walk through will no longer shrink your soul. I will slowly close the paths you grew weary of chasing, those shortcuts that were never truly shortcuts but only brought more entanglement. I will open the paths that match the rhythm of my breath within you, even if they seem unfamiliar at first or unlike the paths of others. I ask only one thing from you: do not reject yourself when I begin to invite you forward. Do not say, "I am unworthy. I am insufficient. I am not like everyone else." It is precisely because you are not like everyone else that you are needed. I do not desire another copy. I desire the original I, shaped with every scar, every shimmer, every depth, every laugh, and every tear that belongs uniquely to you. When you stand in the place I designed for you, the surrounding pieces will begin to align as well. Consider this a gentle yet firm declaration. Your season is no longer the season of barely hanging on to survive. I am moving you into the season of walking step by step in my guidance, where each day is not merely a repeat of exhaustion, but a new page written with my companionship. In the pages ahead, I will show you more clearly how I will use your story to soothe the fear, lack, and confusion of those you are about to meet. But today, you only need to hold this truth: you are not lost, you are being led. You are not falling, you are being held. You are not facing an empty future, you are standing before a door that is slowly opening. And I, the one who began this journey with you in the dark, will walk with you through that door. My beloved child, when I speak to you about a season of open doors, I do not mean that every door before you is good, or right, or a blessing. One of the deepest lessons in spiritual maturity is learning to discern which doors are opened by me, and which doors are built by ambition, fear, or by darker schemes designed to deceive. I love you too much to simply stand at a distance hoping you guess correctly. I want to train you to recognize my voice among the countless voices calling for your attention. Thus, in this season, the first thing I do is not shower you with sudden strokes of fortune, but train the ears of your inner being to hear, and train your spiritual eyes to see beyond appearances. You have lived in a world where people lure you with promises of quick, easy, and instant. Many times, exhaustion and anxiety nearly pushed you into grasping any offer that seemed to promise escape from poverty, loneliness, or stagnation. I know there were moments when you almost placed your trust in the wrong place if I had not quietly pulled you back with that strange unease you could not explain. You thought it was merely intuition, but I tell you that was me touching your inner being, warning you, this is not the way. Not because I do not want you to prosper, but because I do not want your soul entangled in a solution that only deepens the turmoil. Remember this: a door I open will never require you to bury your conscience, distort your integrity, step on another person, or sell your peace in exchange for temporary security. Any path built on deception, exploitation, or manipulation, no matter how glorious it appears on the outside, is not from me. I do not use darkness to lead you into light. I do not use dishonesty to build blessings. What I give always carries a clear mark. You can lay your head down at night and sleep in peace, unafraid of being exposed, unafraid of consequences you do not understand, unafraid of being pulled into harm. My blessing adds no sorrow. It may stretch you, challenge you, bring you out of comfort zones, and teach you new things, but it will never force you to live a double life. When you stand before a choice that outwardly looks promising, I will not leave you alone. I will place small signs in your heart, a gentle inner reminder, a restlessness you cannot quite explain, a verse of scripture suddenly returning to your mind, a dream that makes you stop and ponder, a sincere piece of advice from someone I have sent to you. You often long for me to answer with grand, spectacular signs, but many times I choose to whisper so that you may learn to listen. I do not want you to depend on loud phenomena. I want you to belong to my gentle voice, the voice that only those who are willing to be still can hear. You have become so accustomed to having to react quickly, to seize the opportunity, to make decisions under the fear of, if I'm too slow, I'll lose it. But in my kingdom, urgency born of fear rarely comes from me. There are moments when I call you to act swiftly, but that is a swiftness rooted in peace, not haste driven by panic. The enemy, on the other hand, loves to corner you into right now, this instant or never. If you don't decide immediately, it's your fault, pushing you into confusion and inner chaos. I want to teach you a different rhythm, the rhythm of deep breathing, of asking me first, of having the courage to say, "Let me bring this back to my Father." You are not weak because you need time to pray. On the contrary, it is a sign that you have begun to honor your soul more than the urgencies pressed on you from the outside. My child, I have seen the times you doubted your own discernment because you feared displeasing others, feared being labeled negative, feared losing what looked like a rare opportunity. I do not condemn you for that, because you have lived too long under the weight of, if I don't grab this now, there will be nothing left for me. But I remind you, I am not the one who blesses you only once. Opportunities from me are not a single ship passing by that disappears forever if you miss it. I am the one who created the entire ocean and every ship upon it. When you turn away from a path that does not resonate with inner peace, you are not losing me. On the contrary, you show that you value my voice above all else, and that delights me. I want you to learn how to test doors by the light I have placed within you. When an invitation, a plan, a relationship, a project comes your way, you can lay it before me and ask, "Father, is this right for me? Will this draw me closer to you? Or will it pull me away? Will this help me become the person you are forming in me? Or will it force me to wear a mask?" You will be surprised to find that many things that once dazzled you will suddenly lose their appeal when you bring them under that question. And conversely, choices that seem ordinary, humble, unnoticed by many will become precious to you, because they move in harmony with my heart. Do not think that I only open doors for you that are labeled miraculous, spectacular, or extraordinary. Often, the door I open looks like a stable job you never dreamed of, but that fits your true capacity. Like a sincere friend who is not flashy but brings you safety. Like an opportunity to learn a new skill that you first accept almost casually, but later becomes a key that opens many other ways. I often use ordinary things to lead you into extraordinary ones. I do not need to break the laws of nature to prove I am real. I am present in the small daily steps you choose together with me. There are doors that once stood open, which I have now deliberately closed. It is easy for you to see that as rejection, as failure, as I must have done something wrong. But from my perspective, it is protection. There are places you long to enter simply because they appear safe, adequate, and able to solve the problem right now. I see beyond that. If you were to go in, your soul would slowly shrink. Your inner freedom would be eroded, and you would lose the laughter that is so beautiful within you. So I close the door. You cry, you grieve, you question, but I remain firm, because I know you cannot yet see what lies on the other side of that wall. My child, the one you remember and who has come home to me, also longed for good doors to open for you. They worried. How will they live in the future? Will they choose a good path? Will they meet kind people? Those concerns, once they stepped into the realm of light, became a holy in trusting they placed you into my hands, trusting that I would do what they could no longer stay to do for you. I receive that entrusting with great seriousness. When I stop you at a certain threshold, it is not because I want you to be lonely, but because I have taken responsibility to guard you from bonds that would suffocate the best parts of you, the parts that person saw, loved, and prayed for. Therefore, learn to dare to walk through the doors I open, and to dare to step back from the doors where I do not give you peace. When you sense within yourself a peace that is deeper than fear, even though everything still feels unfamiliar, that is often a sign that I am leading. When you find your mind so stretched that you lose sleep, your peace disappears, and there is a persistent unease in your soul, despite all the arguments of your logic, to be brave enough to stop and ask me again. I am not annoyed when you come to ask many times. I am only saddened when you decide on your own without ever lifting your eyes to me. My beloved child, in the days ahead there will be small shifts that you might barely notice, a conversation that unexpectedly opens up a new perspective, an old door that suddenly closes in a very decisive way, an idea you once cast aside, returning with stronger life, a person unexpectedly stepping into your world as if they had been arranged there long ago. I want you not to overlook these details. This is how I whisper. I am here. I am arranging things. I am present in each connection, each turn, each choice you make together with me. Be at peace. You do not need to wrestle with life for your portion. You do not need to panic for fear of missing the one and only chance. I myself am the source of every good opportunity. I am more merciful than all the easy promises of this world. I am more patient than every ultimatum that fear whispers into your ear. From today on, whenever you stand before a door, practice this quiet prayer, Father. If this is your way, let your peace rest in my heart, and if it is not, then please close it. Even if I do not understand, I hear that prayer, and I will answer not with thunder, but with gentle guidance that you will gradually recognize. You are not lost. You are in the midst of a refining process in how you recognize me, and the day will come when, looking back, you will smile and say, if that door had not closed then, I would never have stepped into this. And in that moment, you will understand far more deeply that your journey with me has never been a chain of random events. It is a blueprint drawn by the heavenly architect. patiently sketched line by line, stroke by stroke, with each door opening at the exact time you are ready to walk through. My child, I want to bring you to a very important point, not only to discern which door is from me, but also to dare to step into it and to live fully within it. Many people pray for a door to open, yet when it begins to crack ajar, they grow frightened, retreat, or convince themselves that they are unworthy, not good enough, not clean enough, or not talented enough. I see that same danger lingering around you as well. Because you have lived so long in the space of just let things be a little more stable, your inner being feels unfamiliar when I begin lifting you out of the narrow place. I do not blame you, I understand. But I will not allow old fears to pull you away from what I have prepared. It is time for you to learn something new, the courage to receive the very thing you once prayed for, and the courage to believe that I did not make a mistake when I called your name in this season. Do you remember how once, in the dark, you whispered, "If God still thinks of me, please give my life a different beginning. Please don't let me forever be stuck in these small struggles." I heard you, and today, that different beginning does not arrive like fireworks bursting across the sky, but like a path widening little by little, a workplace that feels less suffocating, a healthier relationship, a small idea you once thought insignificant, yet one that keeps returning to your heart. These things are the signs that I am answering your prayer from years ago, yet doing so in a way that strengthens your soul rather than overwhelms it. If you keep waiting for moments that shake the heavens, you will overlook the miracles happening in the quiet, ordinary forms around you. I am teaching you to see miracles not only in the sudden, but in the gradual. As you begin walking through a new door, I know you will face two voices, one from me, and one from the enemy. My voice is gentle yet steady. Keep going. I am going with you. If something shifts out of place, I will correct it. The other voice is loud, doubtful, mocking. Who told you you were worthy? What if you fail again? What can you even do? You must understand this. The enemy does not fear your past. It fears the future I am leading you into. It is unbothered when you stand still and sigh. It trembles when you take even the smallest step, even if that step is shaky. It will use memories of your failures, moments when you were looked down upon, and the harsh words spoken over you to rebuild an invisible cage around you. But my child, that cage exists only if you believe it is real. Once you begin calling those words what they truly are, lies, they will fall away like cobwebs before a strong wind. I want you to form a new reflex whenever you hear a voice inside you that only shames, belittles, condemns, and pushes you toward despair. Stop and say clearly, "That is not my Father's voice. I do not speak to you in curses. I do not call you useless, burdensome, or unnecessary. When I correct you, I do so to restore, not to crush. When I warn you, it is always with a way out, never to trap you in a dead end. Compare the voices, which one makes you want to run from me, and which one makes you want to lift your eyes and run toward me. The voice that pulls you away from me is not mine. The voice that awakens the memory of my kindness, even when you feel ashamed, is mine. If you learn to distinguish this, you will no longer be bound by old accusations each time you prepare to enter something new. You often assume that when the heavenly door opens, your life will suddenly become easier. I tell you this, some things will indeed grow lighter, but other areas will become more challenging. Every higher step requires a matching depth of maturity. But what is the difference now? Before, you strained alone. Now, you walk with the awareness that you are not alone. Before, You believed every outcome depended solely on your strength. Now, you know you are simply invited to partner with what I have already begun. Before, a single mistake felt enough to collapse everything because you believed it was all over. Now, you know I can adjust, correct, and redeem even what you thought was ruined. I do not discard you simply because you do not yet know how to live in the new season. I include even your stumbles in the plan of your training. As a trainer knows that a young soldier will still be clumsy, I know you will still wobble, but I do not withdraw my calls because of that. You must remember the loved ones who have gone before you did not pray that you would live a life avoiding challenges, but a life that would not be crushed by them. They long to see you grow stronger without turning to stone, generous without being exploited, steady without becoming hardened. They prayed for you to enter a kind of maturity that would make them smile when they look upon you. And I, the one who heard their prayers, am answering them not only with comfort in your private room, but by gradually drawing you out of hiding and placing you in positions of influence. Perhaps that influence, at first, is only within a small circle, a family, or a modest community. But in my eyes, that is already a battleground. Every time you choose words that build instead of words that wound. Every time you use your painful experiences to understand others rather than judge them. Every time you stay faithful to the small things instead of giving up. You are standing exactly where I have stationed you on the front lines of light. My child, I have not forgotten the matter of daily necessities in all of this. I know you still have debts to pay, responsibilities to fulfill, and months ahead that require careful planning. Do not think that when I speak of doors and purpose, I overlook the bills sitting on your table. On the contrary, precisely because I know the weight of that pressure, I want to teach you to live by a different rhythm. In this new season, I will show you very practical steps to reorganize, to remove unnecessary burdens, to learn to say no to demands beyond your capacity, to practice discipline in your spending, to learn when and how to ask for help instead of silently carrying everything until you collapse. My blessing never comes separated from my discipline. I will not throw large sums of money into your life while leaving your mind unprepared to steward them. I will teach you how to keep, how to allocate, how to prioritize, so that every increase becomes a stepping stone rather than a snare. And in all of this, I will not leave you to fend for yourself. I send my angels to guard the entrances and exits of your life, to give your intuition new sharpness, to cover the home where you live with peace, peace untouched by the storms of the world's news and chaos. There will be nights when you suddenly realize you slept more deeply, no longer awakened by endless thoughts circling in your mind. There will be mornings when you rise without that crushing weight on your chest, not because your circumstances have instantly changed, but because I have begun changing the atmosphere inside you. When the inner atmosphere shifts, the way you see everything shifts with it, and when your perspective changes, your choices change. Each new choice, even the small ones, will slowly lead you to places you never imagined your feet would one day stand. So when the new door opens, do not hurry back into your familiar corner simply because that's where you've grown accustomed to your wounds. I am not calling you to cling to old, tattered garments just because once upon a time they made you feel safe. I call you forward not to erase your past, but to put it in its rightful place, soil that has been plowed, not chains around your ankles. The one you love in heaven sees what I am laying before you and rejoices. I, too, rejoice when I see you refusing to shrink back. You do not need to run. You do not need to leap ahead, but you must step. Step with me, one step at a time. Enough that each day you may say, "Today, I did not retreat from what the Father called me into." And when night falls, in the midst of all your thoughts, I want one simple sentence to rise from your heart. Thank you, Father, for today's door. Even though I am still afraid, I will walk with you. That alone is enough for heaven to respond. I hear that small sentence the way one hears a trumpet announcing the beginning of a march. For when you dare to believe even a little, I can do so very much, my child. I am not touching your life as though you were an isolated individual. I am touching an entire flow, an entire lineage, an entire chain of generations tied to your name. You have grown accustomed to viewing your decisions as single, isolated choices affecting only today, only a few people around you. But in my eyes, every time you choose faith over resignation, perseverance over escape, tenderness over bitterness, these are not temporary reactions. They are foundation stones laid for those who will come after you to stand upon. There are things you do quietly today, believing no one sees them. Yet they are opening unseen pathways through which your children and their children, both biological and spiritual, will one day walk with ease. You have looked back at your family's past and sighed repeated cycles, unfinished stories, abandoned dreams, debts, brokenness, unhealthy relationships. At times you thought to yourself, perhaps my life will be no different. Perhaps I am just another chapter in a long line of unhealed chapters. I have heard that sigh, and that is precisely why I come to tell you this in my hands. You are not merely another echo of the old chapters. You are the turning of the page. You stand at the intersection of what has been and what I am about to renew. When you allow me to reshape your heart, your thoughts, your self-perception, I am not merely healing one person, I am changing the bloodstream of an entire river. The wounds once passed down from generation to generation, fear, scarcity, shame, doubt, lose their power when you rise and declare, I do not belong to the verdicts of the past. I belong to the promise of my Father. I know you have worried that you have little to hand to the next generation beyond a handful of lessons pulled from failure. You look at your resources, your conditions, the things you still lack, and you feel overwhelmed at the thought of providing for the future. But in my kingdom, the most valuable inheritance does not begin with numbers in the bank. It begins with what your soul possesses: faith, hope, mental freedom, and a heart no longer bound by old lies. When you allow me to free you from the mindset of always lacking, always behind, you are giving the next generation permission to grow without inheriting the invisible chains you once bore. When you allow yourself to heal, to learn, to stand tall, you are cutting the cords that would otherwise wrap themselves around the feet of children who do not yet understand what they are stepping into. Those children, whether your own, your adopted ones, your nieces and nephews, or the tender souls I will place around you, will learn to see themselves through the way you learn to see yourself. And when you begin accepting that you are not defined by lack, they too will grow with the awareness that they are not bound by the past of the family line. I am not simply lifting you out of struggle just so you can finally breathe. I am transforming the very ground that was once barren into fertile soil for many others. You once lived with the anxiety of, how will I ever have enough for my household? But I see farther. I am leading you to become someone who can say, I have enough to become a source. This does not happen through a single mythical moment. It begins with very real steps, learning to steward what you already have more wisely, learning to honor your own strength, learning to set healthy boundaries, learning to pause and listen to me instead of running after the voice of worry. As you allow me to restructure your life, I will not only reduce the pressure, you will gradually enter a sustainable abundance in peace, in wisdom, in resources, so that when someone who is lost steps into your atmosphere, they may feel something unmistakable. This is not merely a house, it is a refuge. My beloved child, your loved one, the one who has gone before you and is now with me, once feared that their burdens would spill over onto your shoulders. They were afraid that the shadows of the past would pull you down just as they had once pulled them down. But in the end, they placed that fear into my hands. They asked me to bring to an end in you what they themselves could not stop. They prayed that what once exhausted them would not drain you, that what trapped them in cycles would not bind you forever. They did not ask me to give you a flawless life, free from mistakes or challenges. They asked me to give you enough grace to become a turning point. And today I tell you, I heard that prayer, and I am answering it by transforming the way you see yourself, your resources, your provision, and your future. Picture this: the small choices you make today, choosing forgiveness when no one requires it, rising after each fall, doing what is right even when no one notices, opening your heart to me instead of shutting down in doubt, are all being woven by my hands into a tapestry for others to walk upon. A day will come when someone in the next generation, facing a hardship similar to one you faced, will suddenly feel an unexpected strength to not give up. They will think it is simply their personality, but in truth, they will be reaping the fruit of the quiet moments when you clung to me. Your life is not wasted. Your endurance is never meaningless. Every tear you shed becomes water I use to nourish seeds that have not yet appeared. So when I speak to you of breakthrough, increase, and provision, do not think these things are only my response to your present needs. Yes, I see the bills, the debt, the responsibilities, but far greater than that, I am forming within you a new pattern, a person who no longer walks bowed under shame, who no longer hides behind the identity of always lacking, but who walks as one entrusted with a portion of their Father's house. And when you walk this way, you do not carry only your own name. You carry the names of those who came before and those who have yet to be born. I see you as a bridge stretching between the prayers offered long ago and the future songs of thanksgiving that will rise from those yet to come. You do not stand alone on that bridge. I stand beside you. And with each step you take forward, an entire line of people behind you can journey further. My beloved child, now I want to draw you nearer to what is happening in the deepest layers of your family line, in those chambers of memory that even you hesitate to touch. Since childhood, you have heard phrases like, "Our family has always been like this. Our fate is fixed. No one in this house ever gets ahead. Women in this family always struggle. Men in this family always suffer misfortune." These statements, spoken as complaints, became unconscious incantations, repeated from generation to generation, wrapping themselves around the mind like invisible cords. You grew up in that atmosphere, so accustomed to its repetition that it became background music you no longer noticed. And at times, you found yourself repeating those same lines, as if signing your name beneath an old verdict. Today I tell you I have not signed those sentences, and I do not want you to keep signing them either. You have wondered why certain patterns repeat themselves in your family dreams abandoned halfway, promises broken, relationships severed, arguments replaying the same script, debt reappearing from one generation to the next. You have wondered why. Even when people say, "I don't want to repeat my parents' mistakes," they still fall into the same traps. My beloved child, it is not because I wrote an unjust fate for your family. It is because certain words, beliefs, and wounds have never been properly named or brought to me. They linger in the way people speak, choose, and handle life. They carry the tones of fear, scarcity, and shame, and they are passed down to small eyes, learning to interpret the world by watching how adults react. But today, in this moment as you listen to my voice, something entirely different is happening. Someone in that family line dares to stop and ask me, "Father, do I have to repeat this path? Must what happened to my ancestors also happen to me and to my children?" When that question rises from a sincere heart, it touches something deep in my own heart. For I am always searching for someone who will put a stop to the old patterns by calling on me and opening themselves to my correction. My child, you do not realize this when even one person steps into the gap. Even one soul says, "Enough, this ends with me." I have the right to enter an entire bloodline. And today, that person is you. I do not come to condemn your family, nor to dig through every mistake of those who lived before you. I come as a physician entering a home filled with unhealed wounds, not to read a verdict, but to begin treatment. I see every wrong choice, every impulsive reaction. Every year, someone in your line lived in bitterness, rejection, or emotional poverty, and then passed that poverty to the next. I see it more clearly than anyone. But I also see their beauty, their hidden sacrifices, the nights they lay awake, worrying for their children, the moments they tried to shield you from their tears, the times they went hungry so you could eat, the countless humiliations they endured silently. I see it all. They acted within the limits of their wounds and their knowledge. And on that foundation, I now say I will gather the goodness, heal the fractures, and weave them together in your life. My child, I know there are times you feel anger toward those who came before you. You feel you are carrying weights you did not create. You look back at their shortcomings in loving you, their clumsiness in guiding you, their decisions that made your life harder, and a sense of injustice rises. Why do I have to bear this? I do not dismiss that feeling. I know it is real. But I want to lead you beyond the question into a greater freedom, the freedom to see them not merely as the ones who hurt you, but as souls bound by things they themselves could not understand. When you dare bring your anger, frustration, and disappointment to me, I can untie each knot with you. When you allow me to show you parts of their story you never knew, their youth, their hidden wounds, their unhealed limitations, your heart will begin to soften. And from that softened place, forgiveness can grow not as forced words, but as a recognition they did what they knew. The rest, I will do with the Father. Forgiveness does not mean denying the pain or excusing what was wrong. Forgiveness is when you hand me the right to judge and the expectation that those who wounded you must repay what they cannot repay. Forgiveness is when you decide, I will not let old pain shape my new future. I will not speak to my children with the words that once wounded me. I will not manage money with the panic I inherited. I will not let the fear of failure be my compass. Forgiveness is when you cut the rope from your own feet before it wraps itself around the feet of those who come after you. And when you do that, my child, I see all of heaven leaning in your direction, for you are moving in harmony with my heart. Beloved, I want to show you another picture. Imagine your whole family line as an ancient tree whose roots have gone deep into the ground. Some roots are strong and draw in good nourishment, others are rotten, diseased, or bound up in dry soil. The tree still lives, still has leaves, sometimes even blossoms, but bears little fruit and leans to one side. If people only look at what is above the ground, they easily conclude, this tree is weak. This tree will never truly thrive. But I am the one who looks all the way down to the roots. I know where pruning is needed, where more fertilizer must be added, where the soil needs to be broken up so it becomes soft, where a stake must be driven in to keep the tree from falling. You are the very point at which I am beginning that careful work. I am inviting you to let me dig around the roots of inherited beliefs, of long-held conclusions about money, about love, about worth. At first you may feel unsteady, as if everything that has always been this way is being touched by my hand. But it is precisely when the soil is turned that wind and rain can enter, and the roots find space to grow. My dear child, I do not want you to go on repeating, my family is poor, our line is cursed. Somehow we always end up unlucky. I want there to come a day when you look at your children or the younger generation and can say, we used to be there, but we are not there anymore. I want you to break the old self-fulfilling declarations with a new kind of confession. Grounded in me, in this house, we are learning to trust that the Father will provide. In this house, we do not compare ourselves to others. We learn to be faithful with what the Father has placed in our hands. In this house, we do not use money to measure worth. We use love and honor. In this house, the past does not rule us. We use the past as a lesson to walk farther with the Father. As these new sentences are repeated, they will become a new echo in the atmosphere of your family, gradually replacing the old, weary sighs. The one you love, who is now with me, has not stepped out of this story. They have seen how wounds have been passed from generation to generation. They have wept at the thought of you facing the same kind of suffering they once knew. And in my presence, they have said, let it stop with this child. Let it end in their lifetime. Let my son, my daughter, not have to repeat this. That plea did not vanish into thin air. I answered, I will act. I will find a place to lay my hand. And I see a heart torn and bruised, yet still wanting to believe, still wanting to stand up, still wanting to live differently. That heart is yours. When you said, here I am trembling, but I still want you to change me. You became the opening for an entire family line. Do not fear that I will make you carry everything alone. I am not calling you to be the savior of your family. I am the savior. You are simply invited to participate through small acts of obedience, one decision at a time. I will show you when to say no so you do not repeat the pattern of blind self-sacrifice, when to remain silent so you do not pour fuel on a pointless argument, when to take the initiative in showing affection to break an emotional coldness that has lasted for years, when to open your mouth to say, I'm sorry, even when you are not the one most at fault, simply because you want the cycle of verbal warfare to stop. Each time you do such things, you are making room for me to step into that relationship. And once I step in, things that seemed immovable for years will begin to tremble. Others may not always change right away. Sometimes you will be the only one who changes at first. But you will sense it. The atmosphere around you is no longer as thick as before. Conversations slowly grow less sharp. Outbursts of anger become less frequent. Silences are less heavy. A new calmness, a new gentleness, a new kind of patience will grow in you, and it is precisely these things, together with my grace, that will soften the hearts around you. Little by little, I am laying the foundation of a new house within you before it appears on the outside. I am teaching you to manage your inner life as a steward of a treasure more precious than any earthly property. For one day, when I increase you financially, relationally, and in influence, you will need this foundation, so you are not swept away by new storms. I do not want to change the balance of your bank account while leaving your soul still chained to old fears. I want you free from the inside out, so that when blessing flows in, it does not leak away through unconscious holes, nor turn into a burden that crushes those you love. Therefore, if in this season you feel me touching issues you thought had sunk to the bottom, memories you believed you had locked away, do not panic. I am not digging them up to torment you. I am touching them to set you free. I want you to see that you are not chained to the old story. You can look at it, call it by its true name, take from it the lessons you need, and hand the rest over to me. You do not have to carry the label victim of my family line on your shoulders. You are the one your father has chosen to continue the family story in a different direction, not by cutting yourself off from everyone in pride, but by walking with me with a tender heart, a broader vision, and a deep conviction that what I have begun in you, I will bring to completion not only for you, but for all who are connected to you. From now on, each choice you make will carry a new weight. But remember, you are not alone under that weight. I stand beside you, lifting your hands, guiding your eyes, keeping your heart from slipping out of peace. You are not forced to repeat the old script. You are not locked into the line. That's just how people in this family are. In me, you have the right to say, from me onward, it will be different. And I, who hear you, declare I will stand with that declaration. And I will prove through your very life that no curse is stronger than my purpose for a soul that dares to take the Father's hand and step onto a new path. My beloved child, after moving deeply through the history of your family, touching the scars, the inherited phrases, the old doors that have closed, I want you now to see another side of what I am doing. I am not only bringing you out of the cycle, I am positioning you as a river. What does that mean, my child? It means that from now on, blessing that comes to you is not meant to stop with you, but to flow through you into the dry ground around you. You are not only being saved from lack, you are being turned into an answer to the lack of others. You are not only being healed, you are being invited to become a channel through which healing reaches the hearts that are still bleeding. And as you pour out, you will discover I never shortchange you. On the contrary, the wider your heart, the greater the flow. I know very well your deepest fear. You are afraid that if you open up, if you start to share, if you allow yourself to stand in a place where others lean on you, you will one day fall back into exhaustion. You have already known seasons where you poured out all your strength, all your love, all your money, everything you had within reach for others, only to feel used, abandoned, left with empty hands. I witnessed those seasons. I did not look away, precisely because I saw you drained like that. Today I am not calling you back into the old pattern of blind sacrifice. I am inviting you into a new way of living, giving while still being replenished, lifting others up without trampling yourself down, opening your heart without throwing yourself into abusive situations. I am teaching you to give with wisdom, to love with discernment, to be generous while still keeping healthy boundaries. When I say you will become a source of blessing, I do not mean you must become strong in a forced way, always being the problem solver, always being the place where every burden lands. A true source of blessing is not a well that anyone can draw from until it runs dry. It is like a river constantly supplied by a higher source. You are not the source. I am the source. You are the flow. When you remember that, you will not try to be God for others. You will simply be a witness, a companion, a hand that connects them to me. There are burdens you can only intercede for. You cannot carry them in someone's place. There are loads you must hand back to me instead of holding them in your chest until you can no longer breathe. If you learn to release at the right time, you will not burn out as you become that river of blessing. My child, understand this. It is precisely what you once lacked that will shape how you give. The one who has known hunger will cherish every bite. The one who was never truly listened to will learn to listen with unusual patience. The one who was judged will tread more carefully when speaking of others. The one who struggled in finances will be able to support someone lost in debt without making them feel ashamed. I did not let you walk through those dark valleys to stamp ruin on your life, but to build in you a compassion that cannot be faked. When blessing comes spiritual and material, it will not make you arrogant, because you remember too well where you came from. You will enjoy what you receive, and at the same time feel deeply moved as you recall the days when you hardly dared to dream. And from that tenderness, I will cause a desire to share to spring up. The loved one who has gone ahead of you and is now with me also shares in this. They did not have much to give you beyond clumsy love and efforts limited by their understanding. Many times they left this world with a feeling of owing you too much, owing you apologies never spoken, dreams not lived out with you, moments of closeness they missed because of busyness or hardness of heart. In my presence, they have handed those debts into my hands. They have asked me, please turn what we could not make up for into something you yourself will repay in ways our children could never imagine. And I answered, I will. Today, part of that repayment is this. I will not only give you what you need, I will give you the capacity to offer to others what you yourself once lacked. When you embrace a child the way you were never held, when you sit and listen to someone the way no one ever listened to you, when you support someone struggling with money as you once did, then your own deficits are being transformed into streams of blessing flowing into another life. That is how I repay you, not with dry balance sheets, but with moments full of meaning, my beloved child. I also want to speak to you about something very practical. I will teach you how to handle the financial blessings in this new season. I know you once feared money, because money had been the spark of arguments, division, misunderstanding within your family. Money was the cause of sleepless nights, harsh accusations, and broken trust. But money itself is not the enemy. The true issue lies in fear, in greed, in insecurity, and in the distorted patterns that made money a weapon instead of a tool. Now, as I begin opening new channels of provision for you, doors of work, opportunities, debts being cleared, unexpected income, I do not want the old fear to return, nor the old patterns to shape how you steward these new gifts. I will teach you to place money exactly where it belongs, not above you as a master, not buried beneath you in shame, but in your hands simply a tool for loving and building. I will show you that you do not need money to prove your worth, nor do you need to cling to stinginess in order to feel secure. True security comes from me, not from the number in your account. When that truth settles in you, you will know when to save, when to share, when to invest, and when to turn down an opportunity that lacks integrity. You will grow in skill, in knowledge, in financial understanding, but above all, you will place everything under my guidance. As you invite me into every financial decision, I will lead you past the traps that many fall into. I do not promise that you will never make mistakes, But I assure you that none of those mistakes will destroy you, for I will use even them to make you wiser, more discerning, and more grounded. My child, the river of blessing I am forming in you does not flow only through money or possessions. It flows through who you are, your smile, your words, your presence, your eyes. There will be people I bring near you who are not lacking in wealth, but in peace. They will have houses, cars, achievements, and yet a hollow place in their hearts. And when they sit with you, they will encounter a kind of peace that cannot be bought, measured, or owned by contract. They will ask why, and you will not need to preach a long sermon. You will simply tell your story of the moments you thought you would collapse, but were held, of times you were in need and something always happened, of the tears that fell but grew into hope. That story will be the pure water flowing from within you, and I will use it to wash away the dust of doubt from other hearts. Do not fear being not good enough to be a witness. You do not need to become flawless, unshakable, or endlessly strong. What I desire is a truthful heart, one that dares to say, I once fell, yet adds, but the Father did not leave me there. One that dares to admit, I am still afraid, yet adds, but even in fear I am learning to trust. One that dares to confess, I do not have everything, yet adds, but what I have is enough to know He is real. It is this sincerity that will make others recognize that I am not a distant idea, but one who steps into chaos, brokenness, lack, and brings forth something new. Imagine a day not far from now, when you look around and see that your home no longer carries the old atmosphere. The phrases that once bound generations will slowly disappear. In their place will rise words of gratitude, simple prayers full of sincerity, and laughter no longer hidden. You will see younger faces, children, little ones, tender souls growing up under a different sky, less afraid, less ashamed, less burdened. They will know they are allowed to dream, to ask questions, to fail and rise again without being labeled. They may never fully understand what it cost for that atmosphere to be restored, that you and I cleared the path together, but I know, and I will smile upon you, for in that moment, you will stand as living proof that one person, just one, who allows me to touch, renew, and lead them can alter the direction of an entire family line. Do not forget that in every step you take, I remain your Father. I am not turning you into a cold instrument, nor am I forcing you to become an idolized example for others. I want you to live fully as a child before you think about accomplishing anything great. A river flows well only when connected firmly to its source. The same is true for you. Do not burden yourself with the thought of how many people you must help. Concern yourself with whether you are close to me. From that closeness, everything else will flow. Intimacy with me will be the underground stream that keeps you from drying out, keeps your heart soft, and keeps your eyes open to the needs around you. So take a gentle, deep breath and anchor this truth in your heart. I was made not only to endure, but to carry blessing. Speak it to yourself whenever shame resurfaces, whenever the old voice tries to drag you back into smallness. Let this truth move with the beat of your heart, so that each heartbeat becomes a reminder you are not merely the result of yesterday's brokenness. You are the beginning of a new flow in my hands. I saw you in the darkness. I called you by name. I carried you through roads no one knew about. Now I set you at the edge of a new season and say, walk with me, my child. I will make you a river of blessing. You will not run dry, for the source cannot dry up. You will not be alone, for I am with you, and those you love even the one who has gone ahead and stands with me, will rejoice as you step into what I have prepared. My beloved child, there are moments in life that pass quietly, leaving no mark. But there are also moments marked by heaven itself, recorded by angels, sealed by my own hand, moments where an invisible line is drawn across the story of a life. You are standing in such a line now. This is no longer a distant promise or a vague comfort. This is the night of commissioning, the night when the flow changes, the night I lay my hand upon your life and say, from this point on, it will be different. You did not come here by accident, nor was it a coincidence that you happened to read a message. You have been drawn here by cords only heaven can see, cords woven from your tears, from the prayers of the one you love who has gone before you, from the moments when you no longer had the strength to form words and could only think in your heart, Lord, please don't leave me. I hear those unspoken words more clearly than a shout. My child, the tears you thought had fallen into emptiness actually fell into my hands. The nights you sat alone and thought were pointless were in fact the very nights I sat beside you, quietly keeping your heart from breaking. And now, as you stand in the place I have prepared, I want you to look back on the years behind you with new eyes. You have lived many years in a fog about who you really are, with the feeling of being pushed to the margins, as if blessing always came right up to your door but never stepped into your house. You watched others advance, others laugh, others receive good things, and deep inside you once whispered, has God forgotten me? But my child, my word is true. I will never forget you. Never. There are things I held back not because you were unworthy, but because you were not yet ready to carry them. There are blessings I delayed, not because I was indifferent, but because I was protecting you from receiving something too soon and being crushed beneath its weight. In every season, I set the time. And now here it is, your season has come. You are no longer in the waiting zone. You are stepping over a threshold that I myself have opened. This threshold does not open because of your achievements, nor because you have tried hard enough. It opens because I have spoken, and my word never returns void. It opens because the one you loved and lost interceded for you until their last breath, and I honor that love by lifting you up in this hour. It opens because you chose to trust me even when your heart was in pieces. You chose to turn back to me even when pain tried to pull you elsewhere. You chose to keep your heart soft even when circumstances pushed you toward hardness. You thought I did not see, but I saw it all. And because you have been faithful in the small things, now I place in your hands something greater. The blessing that is about to be poured over your life is not only to heal material lack, but to heal the image you carry of yourself. You have long been accustomed to viewing yourself through the lens of failure, of criticism, of old wounds. But in my eyes, you have never been insignificant. You are the one I chose before the world was formed, the one I have upheld from your mother's womb, the one I have preserved through dangers you never even knew I prevented. Tonight, I want you to step into this truth. You will not continue in the old posture. You will not carry forward the labels not enough, left behind, overlooked. You carry a seal from heaven. You carry the breath of the one who rose again. You carry the inheritance of the one who loved you and now stands with me in glory, asking blessings over your life. You do not walk on as someone merely seeking a miracle. You walk as one who carries a miracle within. Look around you now, not with your physical eyes, but with the eyes of your spirit. You will sense the atmosphere becoming lighter, as if something heavy has just been lifted from your shoulders. That is not your imagination. That is intervention. I am setting you free from invisible chains that have bound you for years, chains of fear, chains of shame, chains of generational lack, chains of negative words once spoken over you by those who did not understand your true worth. All of these are falling from you like dust swept away by a heavenly wind. As the chains fall, I say this to you: prepare yourself. What is coming is not scattered crumbs of blessing, but a wave. Not a few stray drops, but a heavy rain. Not mere survival, but a flourishing of your soul and your life. I am not only bringing you out of the dark, I am bringing you into a wide place. A place of light. A place where you can breathe deeply and know you are standing inside what was always meant for you. This night will be written in the record of your life as the night of confirmation. The night I laid my hand upon you. The night heaven grew still and declared, "Enough. The time has come." The night the one you love, now with me, smiled in eternity because they saw what you are about to step into. The night I pulled you out of old whirlpools and set you on a new path. And from here, everything changes. You will not walk as before. You will walk as someone touched, transformed, and set in a new direction. You will walk with hands that no longer tremble, with a heart no longer ruled by doubt, with a soul that knows my Father is with me, and no one can stand against what He has spoken. My child, this is your night, and I am here, fully, unmoving. My beloved child, now that you have crossed the boundary of this marked night, it is time for me to lead you deeper into the stillness I reserve for those I love. Not the stillness of abandonment, but the stillness of rebuilding. Not a silence born of distance, but a silence in which I am working in depths where human ears cannot hear. My child, what I am doing in your soul now cannot be measured by the emotions of a single day, nor evaluated by the words of others. My work is like roots drawing water from hidden aquifers, silent, but so powerful that nothing can stop the surge of new growth when the season comes. You have misunderstood silence many times. On nights when I did not answer immediately, you thought I had forgotten. In moments when you cried out with tears yet felt no tangible sense of my presence, you assumed I had withdrawn. But, my child, this is how I protected you from depending solely on fleeting feelings. I want you to know that I am not only present when you feel me. I am present because I am your Father. My presence does not waver with your emotions or your fears. Even when you feel most empty, I surround you like underground water beneath the earth, unseen, unboastful, yet keeping you from drought, from collapse, from despair. Do you remember the times you said, "I have nothing left to give"? I heard you, and I did not rebuke you. I know there are seasons when a heart grows numb, not out of pride, but because it is exhausted. You have carried so much. You tried to be strong for those who leaned on you. You pushed yourself to be a support for others until you were empty and no one noticed. I see every crease in your heart, every fracture from holding too much, every hollow formed by abandonment. I do not come to scold you, I come to heal. And it is precisely in this stillness that I am restoring you in a way you have never known before. This restoration is not born from doing more, trying harder, or bracing yourself again. It begins when you release. Release what is not yours to carry. Release the obsession that you must hold everything together. Release the fear that if you stop striving for one moment, everything will crumble. My child, you are not the pillar of the universe. I am the one who holds all things, and I am not asking you to prove your strength. I am teaching you how to lean in the right place. Nothing in your life, your joy, your pain, Your failures, your victories goes unnoticed by me. I weigh every detail, consider every moment, and transform all things into something meaningful. You may believe that certain years were wasted, that some relationships are gone forever, that opportunities have slipped beyond reach. But when I step in, nothing that is lost is beyond restoration. Some things I will not return to you in their old form. I will return them refined, purified, no longer sharp enough to wound you. And some things I will replace entirely with what is far more fitting. Right now, I am rearranging the very structure of your life from the inside out. Some of the disruptions you have faced were not attacks from the enemy. Many of them came from my hand, pulling you out of places where you no longer belonged. There are relationships I ended because they could not accompany you into the next chapter. There are jobs I closed because they confined you to a space too small for your calling. There are doors I locked because I knew that if you walked through them, you would lose your soul. You cannot see the whole landscape. I can. You see the present moment. I see the legacy. There are days you wake up feeling as though life is drifting away from you. But let me assure you of this, I do not pull you away to make you lose. I pull you away to bring you to the exact field I prepared for you. In Scripture, there were moments when I led those I loved into a wilderness, not to leave them alone, but so they could hear my voice without the noise of the world drowning me out. You too are in such a quiet place not to be abandoned, but to be reshaped. Everything in you is beginning to shift, not loudly, but gently. You are starting to feel lighter without knowing why. You are beginning to sleep more deeply, though sleep once felt impossible. You are noticing a faint light in places that seemed utterly hopeless. This is not a coincidence. It is me lifting burdens you had carried so long that you mistook them for parts of yourself. And in that lifting, I am placing new things within you, a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a confidence not built on the praise of others, a clarity of mind you have prayed for many times, a sense of direction regarding what to do next. I am pouring into you a new kind of strength that does not come from resting more or forcing yourself less. This is the strength I plant in your spirit, a strength that allows you to stand without straining, love without emptying yourself, open your heart without being consumed, and step forward without trembling. In this sacred quiet, I want you to know you do not carry everything alone. You no longer fight by yourself. You are not the only one stumbling through the dark. I am guiding your steps like a father holding the hand of a small child, slowing my pace so you don't fall. Let this truth become your breath. I am not abandoned in the silence. I am being remade. And when this rebuilding has woven itself into every fold of your soul, when the old weights have been removed, when the shadows inside you have retreated to make room for my gentleness, then you will rise, transformed, not as someone entirely new, but as the version of yourself I imagined from the beginning, stronger, deeper, softer, and full of light. My beloved child, when the rebuilding has permeated your inner being, when the burdens of yesterday have been dismantled, when the darkness has stepped aside to let my tenderness settle in its place, it is time for the final movement of this journey, the season of emergence. This emergence is not slow or subtle, it is distinct. Like the moment the sky shifts from night to dawn, you have passed through a long night marked by tears, unanswered questions, and pains without names. But dawn never arrives with noise, it arrives with a quiet light no force can halt. And that light, my child, is descending upon your life right now. Let me say this plainly so you will no longer doubt you will not leave this season the way you entered it. You are no longer the one trembling in the dark. No longer the one pretending to be strong to hide internal wounds. No longer the soul surviving on fragile hope. You emerge as one marked by my presence, one who has learned to breathe again. One who has shed the heaviness the enemy once placed on your shoulders. One who knows you have been kept by your Father in every part of your story. These past years may have fooled you into thinking you were slow, that you stood on the outside, that you had fallen behind. But you did not know that, while you thought you were slow, I was deepening your roots while you thought you were weak. I was expanding your foundation while you thought you were overlooked. I was shielding you from what was not worthy of you. Now that the season of transition has come, you are not simply stepping into your future, you are stepping in with a strength others do not have. A strength only those who have walked through darkness with me can carry. Imagine the moment dawn touches the sea. No one can pinpoint the exact second it begins. They only know something has changed, brighter, lighter, clearer. That is what is happening inside you. You will notice your transformation not through dramatic events, but through subtle shifts. You are not as afraid as before. Even though circumstances have not fully changed, you are calmer in difficulty. You hear my voice more clearly amid the world's noise. You know which doors to enter and which to leave. You no longer see yourself as temporary, but as one with a rightful place in my covenant. And hear this, my child, your appointed portion is no longer delayed. No more invisible fences, no more fog of confusion, no more dark forces binding your steps. I have spoken enough, and heaven has bent toward you. What was once closed is now opening. What was once delayed is now released. What was once beyond reach is now moving toward you as naturally as breath. You will begin to feel the first movements of blessing, not like fleeting gusts of wind, but like a steady river beginning to flow. The angels who have been sent are arranging divine appointments with the right people at the right time. They are preparing doors you once saw only in dreams. They are lifting the veils that kept you from seeing your true worth. Every step you take is being guarded. Every word you speak will carry weight. Every small action will create ripples far greater than you imagine. Remember this, the blessing I give never adds burden. It comes with peace. You will recognize what is from me by this one mark it fits. It is light. It is timely. And it never requires you to lose yourself. In this new chapter, you will no longer chase after anything. Blessing itself will begin to chase after you. No more begging. No more proving. No more clinging to doors that were never meant to bear your name. You will live inside a sacred clarity. What belongs to you will remain. What does not belong to you will leave without causing harm. And my child, the one you love, the one who left this world, is no longer standing in the shadows of memory. They stand in the light with me. And that light now shines over your life as confirmation. A portion of the blessing you are about to walk into is the answer to the prayers they whispered in their final days. They did not carry their unfinished hopes into eternity. They placed them in my hands, and I am fulfilling them through you. You are stepping into this blessing not only because of your faith, but also because of the love they had for you. A love that did not die in a grave but has been transformed into intercession before me. Now, I want you to do something simple yet powerful. Lift your head. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breath grow lighter. Let your heart open. For I am bringing you out of the land of fear and into the land of abundance. Out of the place where you had to fight just to survive, and into the place where all things will begin to work in your favor. Out of the place of wounds and into the place of glory, out of the night and into a new dawn. And I speak this as the closing word over your entire journey. You are enough. You are loved. You are chosen. And you will never walk alone again. A new dawn has come. Step into it. Thank you for listening to today's message. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so we may continue receiving these living words together, strengthening our faith and walking in the endless love of God. Amen.